You had the audacity to leave your menthol cigarettes on the kitchen floor. You know how much I hate you smoking and your asthma always acting up.
Hey YouTube, it's me, Miss Ivy. Welcome to a new video here. Before I even get started, I just want to apologize to you guys because I wanted to post this video last week, but video just didn't come out the way I wanted it to. And yeah, here you go. Here's a little clip about what it looked like. And here I am taping it over. So let's get started. All right. So this video is actually like a serious video, and I'm going to make this part of a new series called Real Talk. So here we go. We're going to do real talk about real conversations, real things, and it's not sugar-coated. So I'm just going to tell you guys how it is, and I'm going to speak from my own experience because I don't want to like assume anything about anybody else, but I can speak on my own experience and things that I've been through and my feelings towards it, and just like my journey through whatever the topic may be. Today's topic is going to be pregnancy, my experience with pregnancy. So I'm going to go over with you guys a few different things, but I do want to say before I even start this video might not be what you're expecting it to be. So just letting you guys know in advance, it could get a little graphic. It could get a little TMI, but I'm okay with that because I feel like it's important to share this type of information with women and with other people, just so that they know like what are the types of things that we as women can experience with pregnancy. Here we go. Alright, so as you guys know, I do have a 2-year-old son, and I'm going to definitely speak on my experience with pregnancy with him. But I'm also going to speak on something before I speak about that. And that is a very touchy subject. A lot of people don't like to talk about it. And honestly, I understand why. You know, I understand why somebody wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. Because I myself was there too. But I'm okay with speaking about it now. And that is miscarriage. And we're going to speak about miscarriage I experienced. And just like different types of miscarriages and all of that. So if you guys think this is too much for you, it's okay. You can stop the video right now and, you know, exit the video. That's perfectly fine. You know, but if you're interested, keep watching. So I do want to talk to you guys about miscarriage, talk about my experience, and it's something that is very common. It happens a lot. It is a very painful experience to go through. 1 in 4 women will experience a miscarriage. So that's a lot. A lot of different people in your life could experience this or will experience this in their lifetime. So it's good to be informed and just like to know kind of what happens. Miscarriages usually happen, or a high percentage of miscarriages would usually happen within the first trimester, which is the first 12 weeks of pregnancy. So that's usually when most of them happen. Could also happen anytime during the pregnancy, but the likeliness of it happening later on greatly decreases once you're past the first trimester. Alright guys, so first I'm going to speak about miscarriage that happened during the first trimester. I actually didn't even find out I was pregnant until maybe like, I knew I was pregnant for like a week and a half. So usually that happens because you don't find out you're pregnant until you've missed your period, which takes about a month, 4 weeks. And usually you don't want to test right away, and you might wait like a week or a couple days after you missed your period to check. So I was probably like 8 weeks along at that time. So I hadn't digested or like really, like I knew I was pregnant, but it's just like not really, hadn't really sunk in all the way because it was so early on. I did feel like uncomfortable from the beginning. Like when I was pregnant, like I could feel like something was different inside of me. And that's why I actually ended up going to go take the test and found out it was positive. I was just trying to figure it out, really. I was actually at work when it happened, and I was wearing all black because I worked at a store where I had to wear all black. And I had been having really, really bad cramps. And they got to a point, I stand a lot in this job that I was doing. It came to a point where like I couldn't really stand up fully straight because it was hurting so much. And I ended up going to the bathroom and like my stomach was cramping really bad. I remember looking and I had like there was blood everywhere. I freaked out. I hate seeing blood. But I just knew something was wrong. I left work and I drove myself home, got home, and went to the bathroom again, just sitting in the toilet, and I actually saw like the little sack that the baby comes out in. I saw that. And I mean, I wasn't 100% sure that that's what it was at the time, but I really felt like it was because it wasn't a blood clot. It wasn't just blood. It was literally like a little sack of skin. Like it just like this see-through type of just I don't even know, but it was literally a sack. I actually ended up going to the ER. I went there and I was with the person I was with at the time, and we both went to the ER. I remember going there. I was very on edge and I just wanted to get checked. I was like very anxious. I wanted to know what was going on. They did a pregnancy test, just like a regular like peeing pregnancy test. Came out positive, but it was very faint. After that, they decided to take my blood to double check my, I think it's HGC levels, if I'm not wrong. So it is the HCG level in my body. So the results came back and my levels were really low. So the doctor basically, they put me in a room. The doctor came in. She just basically told me, you experienced a miscarriage. Your body is still like going through it right now. And we want to see you again in a week to take another blood test just to double check that your levels are back to normal for a person that's not pregnant. I remember I was sad. I was very like, it was a weird thing because it's like at that point I hadn't really gotten to fully accept like, oh, I'm pregnant, I'm gonna have a baby. But when they tell you like that this happened, I felt sad. I felt like something was wrong. I felt like I wanted to know why that happened. I didn't feel comfortable talking about it with people. I literally think the only person that knew was the person that I was with at the time. I just remember feeling really sad at the time and like I was really concerned about why that was. Because you never think like that's gonna happen to you because I see myself as like a healthy woman and like I didn't think I would have any issues in that department if I ever, came the time for me to get pregnant, but obviously I was completely wrong. And I remember I did end up doing some research and then I ended up seeing like, oh, miscarriage is actually like a common thing and a lot of women do experience it and go through it. It's just like a lot of people don't like to really like outright just talk about it. And I was just like trying to put myself in the mindset like, it will happen when it needs to happen. Doesn't necessarily mean like I won't be able to have children. And, just think more positive. So I was trying to go with that mindset. In 2014, I ended up finding out I was pregnant. Again, I found out I was probably like 6 weeks along when I found out, something like that. I was actually very nervous at the time that I found out I was because I was scared I would miscarry again. And once you experience miscarriage, for me anyways, once I experienced that, I was very scared of experiencing pregnancy again and just like overthinking about everything and like getting overwhelmed about just being able to have a healthy pregnancy. When I was pregnant, I was dealing with a lot of stressful things. And as you guys, I hope most of you guys know, you don't want a pregnant woman to be stressed. It's not healthy for the woman that's pregnant. It's not healthy for the baby. And I was actually experiencing a lot of stress at the time related to basically just people around me that I really shouldn't have had around me. And they just, to make it very plain and simple, they didn't care about what they put me through or stressing me out. That was not their, they didn't care about that. They would put me in stressful situations and make things extremely difficult for me. When I was pregnant, I was already like on the edge from just being pregnant before and experiencing a miscarriage, and now being pregnant again, and like, going through kind of like the same motions but worse, because I was hoping that the same thing that happened before didn't happen. And then on top of that, I just have somebody that's causing, like, purposely causing stress in my life. So it was like a very stressful situation, a very stressful pregnancy for me. And I cried a lot. I was mad a lot. Your hormones are everywhere. Another event happens in my life that was very stressful. My grandfather ended up passing away in 2014. At the time that he passed away, I believe I was probably like 17 weeks pregnant. 17 weeks pregnant, I would say. You go to the doctors every 4 weeks in the beginning, and then you go every 2 weeks, and then you go every week towards the end of your pregnancy. So I have been going every 2 weeks at this point, and I had my they examined me in my 14-week appointment. Everything was fine. Everything was great. The baby's heartbeat was great. The baby was moving around. Well, like, I could see the baby moving around in the sonogram. Everything had been going along pretty good. The doctors told me it was okay to, like, tell people about being pregnant. Once I was past the 12-week mark, I felt a lot more relieved at the time, because I thought, like, everything's gonna be fine now, because it's past the 12 weeks. So the likeliness of this going left is so much smaller. I did end up telling my family. I ended up telling people at my job at the time. I was working at an office. I was very excited about it. When I was about, like, right before my grandfather passed away, I was already thinking about, like, themes for the baby shower and all this stuff. I was very excited. I didn't know the sex of the baby yet. I just wanted to, like, plan it so that it could be what I thought it was going to be. I started thinking about names, all of these things, I was saving up money from work to be able to take care of the baby once I got on maternity leave and all of these things. So I was already really planning things out for my baby. And even though I was in a very stressful situation, I didn't have to deal with nonsense from people that honestly were just not looking out for me, were not looking out for my best interests and for my child's best interests. I didn't think it would be that at the time, but whatever. It happens. It's life. And my grandfather passed away when I was about 17 weeks long. Went to his funeral and everything. I had an 18-week checkup, which I ended up having to reschedule because, attended his funeral and all of that. I was with my family members, and it was like a big deal. It's my grandfather. And I just rescheduled it. I didn't think it was like a big deal to reschedule. So the next time I was going to go was going to be around my 20 weeks. My grandfather's funeral really, like, struck me pretty hard emotionally. I didn't cry about my grandfather passing away until the day of his funeral. It was my turn to talk, and I literally broke out in tears. And, like, my emotions took over, and I started crying. And, like, that's when it really hit me, I guess. And like, I think I was trying to control my emotions because I was pregnant and I didn't want to overstress myself. But it really hit me when I was there. My stomach was already showing. I had felt the baby move. And I was just looking forward to having the baby and trying to control my stress levels. I ended up getting eczema on my face the day of my grandfather's funeral. I have eczema, but usually it's on my body, never on my face. I got it on my face, like, leaving the funeral home. My alopecia started showing up on my hair. I have alopecia areata, so my hair was coming out. And I had, like, a little bit of a bald spot right there. And it was definitely due to that. Stress causes that. So I was definitely very stressed at this point. Oh my god, I forgot to mention something. I forgot to mention. Back up. I missed a big thing. Okay, so when my grandfather passed away, like, the day of my grandfather's funeral, I feel like something happened that day, because now when I think about it, I had went to the bathroom, and I remember I didn't really feel like super crampy, but I went to the bathroom and I had a little bit of blood, like a little bit of blood, but it was blood. And I remember freaking out. I remember going to my car and calling the nurse line because I was concerned, because that's what happened before. I saw blood, and this time it was just like a little speckle. The last time I just saw everything, and I called the nurse line, talked to them. They basically like put me at ease and told me that it's normal for pregnant women to bleed a little bit as long as it's not a lot in a small amount of time. I believe what she had told me was, if you feel a pad within an hour or 2 hours, I don't remember which one, then you need to go to the hospital. So I told her, like, no, it wasn't that much blood. After that day, I went to my grandfather's funeral, I think the day after or 2 days after that. And now back to, and I felt like something was wrong, and that really like made me really nervous. But again, I was trying to think the best, and I was trying to think very positive. I go to the doctor's office 2 weeks later. Going over there, I'm by myself, walk in the doctor's office, they do everything. I'm laying down and the doctor just tells me like, okay, we're going to just check for the baby's heartbeat now. And when the doctor puts the machine on my stomach, I'm just like, it doesn't sound how it usually sounds. Because usually you just hear the heartbeat, you just hear it like right away. It's pretty loud. And it just felt like very empty. Like it didn't sound like much. And like it just felt empty. And the doctor kept moving to different spots. And it just felt like nothing. Then the doctor, I was concerned. I told the doctor, like, he could tell that I was concerned, I think. And he was just like, oh, it's okay. The probably you and the baby have the same heart rate going on right now, and I just need to find specifically the baby's heartbeat. So I just knew something was off. I just knew something was wrong. And the doctor says, you know what? Let me go get another machine to find the heartbeat, whatever. So the doctor leaves. As soon as the doctor stepped out, I was just breathing and hyperventilating and just like, I was in this appointment by myself. I was freaking out. I'm about to be halfway through my pregnancy, 20 weeks along. I'm flipping, like I'm freaking out. And I'm breathing and I'm just like trying to keep like a positive mind. But it's really hard to do that when you're in that situation. Doctor comes back, use the second machine, nothing. Then he's like, well, we need to go to another doctor. So I just knew, right? Like, I just knew, like, for sure, 100% sure. I knew something was completely wrong. We go to the other doctor's office. Both doctors are there. And they bring, like, a sonogram machine. And they do that. And doctor basically just tells me that there's no heartbeat. They tell me that my baby's looks to have stopped growing a few weeks prior. They tell me that I'm going to need surgery. They tell me I should get someone to come pick me up because I need someone to be there with me. And I'm telling you, at that point, I was literally just like frozen, and I was just like, I felt very just stuck in that moment. And like it was like an out of body experience because you don't think this will happen to you. And when it's happening to you, it's like you're looking at it like outside of your body. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just like, I was like, is this really happening to me right now? And I was just kind of shocked. I was shocked. And I was very sad. I cried in the doctor's office. I called my mom. My mom came to get me. I was very, very sad. I was very sad. And I remember the doctor just talking to me about the surgery and saying that, you know, they looked at their schedule. They had something probably like a week from that day in the OR open to be able to do this procedure that I needed to get done. I just was very numb and very sad at the time. And I called the person I was with at the time and I told them what was going on. Went to my grandmother's house, and I remember I was just very sad. And I had to wait a week. I had to wait a week for my surgery to take place. But let me tell you guys something else. That night, well, that happened during, I think, the morning when I went to the doctor's office. By the time I finished talking to the doctors, my mom was there, and then I finally left. It was already the afternoon. I went to my grandmother's house. My cousins were there. My brother was there. My little brother was there. And they made me food or whatever. And once the person that I was with got to be a few hours later, he came to where I was, and he demanded to go to, he wanted to speak to the doctor. And, you know, like, I had explained to him what happened, and he wanted to speak to the doctor. And the only way to speak to the doctor was to go to the ER because the doctor was in the hospital that day or that night. So we ended up going to the ER. Didn't really want to be there. I didn't really want to be there. I had already spent most of my day with the doctor and trying to, like, process this experience. He insisted on, he wanted to talk to the doctor. So we went. I remember being at the hospital. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be like crawled up in my bed. Did not want to be out. I felt very down and very sad. And we got there, and we had to wait forever. We had to wait hours to see the doctor. I would say anywhere probably like 3 to 4 hours we were there, from the beginning to like until we actually got to see the doctor and talk to him for a few minutes. They sent us to the maternity ward, and we're just like basically in the waiting area. And women are coming in here, women with like full-term bellies, women that had just given birth or like had little children with them, women that are like in their second trimester, just all over, you know? So I'm sitting there in the waiting room in the maternity ward on the day that I was told that my baby no longer had a heartbeat, being surrounded by pregnant women. And it was not a good feeling. Like, I just felt very like something was wrong with me. Like, why can't I have a full-term pregnancy? Like, what is going on with me? Why would this happen to me at this point? Will I ever be able to carry a child full-term? These things were going on in my head. I was worried about this surgery I was going to need to get. I hate hospitals. I hate doctors. I don't like any of that stuff. So that stuff alone freaks me out. Not a good experience. We had to wait there for a while because the doctor was busy. Didn't really want to be there. I really, really didn't want to be there. But I did it because I felt like if he wanted to talk to the doctor, he should be able to talk to the doctor. But now when I think about it and I reflect on that time in my life, honestly, that was not the best thing for me to do. You know, it wasn't. You know, the best thing for me to do was to just try to relax and to like process what has just happened to me. It wasn't to attend to somebody else's feelings or somebody else's wants. But that's part of, you know, my issues that I have. And not being able to recognize that at the time. But now I can look back at it and I see it for what it was. Like, I needed to take care of me. But I always put other people before myself. Or I used to do that a lot of the time. Always put people before myself. That is not healthy. You can't do that all the time for everyone. So that was a time when I did that. And I really shouldn't have done that because it was not what was best for me. Emotionally, energy-wise, I was very drained. I just did not want to be there. It was not the place for me to be. You know, I just didn't have the energy for it. And I shouldn't have been there. But I was. And it was all to please someone else. I'm just going to tell you guys this quick little story here. And the only reason I'm smiling is because I really think like God sends me signs. And when I look back at things, I see the signs. Like you can really see them. But at that time, that was one of the signs that I saw right when it happened. We were in the waiting room in the maternity ward. This lady had a little girl. She was probably like 2 or 3 years old. And the little girl was just like running around, grabbing papers and stuff and like giving it to people. She was very cute and she was just, she was like a toddler. So she just couldn't sit still, I know what it's like. My son is like that. He just moves all the time. So the mother was calling out to her and she was like, Harmony, Harmony, Harmony. And as soon as the mom said that, I was just like in shock. Because as soon as she said that, I literally like stopped breathing for a second. And the reason being because I didn't know what the sex of my baby was at the time. The name I was going to call my daughter was going to be Harmony. And I was like, if I have a daughter, her name is going to be Harmony. If it was a boy, we had a name for him too. But Harmony was going to be the name of my daughter if I was going to have one. And that name to me, I loved it because it's like a happy name. I think it's like a beautiful name that I don't hear a lot. I have never met a Harmony in my life. And on this night that I'm sitting there, the day that I find out my child is no longer has a beating heart, and I'm sitting in the hospital maternity ward, surrounded by pregnant women, and this little girl's name is Harmony. And that was like a sign. Like I knew as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh my God, God is telling me my child was a girl. Like I was going to have a girl. I just wanted to share that with you guys. And also another bonus sign that happened before I found out. I was eating Chinese food and I had like the cookies, so the fortune cookies. So my fortune cookie said, your home will be filled with harmony. And I thought that was like a sign also. And I was like, oh my God, God's telling me I'm going to have a girl. And I felt like I was going to have a girl. And I even saved like the little fortune cookie thing because I thought like that would be cute for a baby book and all of this stuff. So all of those things. The only reason I wanted to mention that is because I truly believe that God sends me signs and that God sends us signs about a lot of things, positive things and negative things in our life. I did end up having some testing done because me and the doctors, and especially I was very concerned and I wanted to know what was going on, what was the cause for this miscarriage. So I informed that to the doctors and they told me that they would be able to send the baby to the lab so that they could do testing and figure out what was going on. The day of the surgery, well, before I even say that, that whole week I had to wait before having my surgery. I literally woke up every morning at like 6:30 in the morning and bawled my eyes out for like an hour. Every single morning. I woke up crying, like profusely. I couldn't stop crying. My eyes were swollen. My eyes were red. Like my eyelids were puffy. I was extremely emotional. I just kept thinking like, why can't I have this baby? Like, I was so excited. Like, why is this happening to me? And I was just like, something's wrong with me. Like, I'm probably never going to be able to have children. I've always wanted to be a mom. And at this point in my life, I was really like, I'm probably never going to be able to have a child or a healthy pregnancy. And I was also scared of even thinking about being pregnant again. So those are kind of like the things that were going on in my head. I literally cried so much. A week before the surgery and after the surgery, I still was crying all the time. The day before the surgery, I had to go to my doctor's office. They had to insert these like rods inside of me to widen my cervix because I needed to get ready for surgery. I was very nervous. When they put these rods in me, it was uncomfortable. It wasn't painful, but it was uncomfortable and like traumatic. It's not an enjoyable thing to go through. It gave me really bad cramps and like I just felt like I felt it. I felt like it was widening. Like I just felt like something was off in my body. And it wasn't comfortable at all. But I knew that this was something I needed to do to be able to get healthy again, you know? So next morning I wake up sad, crying. I get these wipes. I wipe my whole body because I'm going to go in for surgery. I need to do that. I remember that day I wore polka dots because supposedly polka dots are good luck. I thought that that would, you know, maybe help me out and make sure that I came out of surgery fine. I never had surgery before in my life. I never been put to sleep. I was concerned about how I was going to feel afterwards and like having to actually go through the process of like no longer being pregnant. And I get there. The doctors were great. They were very nice. They put me to sleep. I fell asleep like right away. I woke up. I had really bad, like my stomach just felt super heavy, very painful cramps. I was there for a while before that was I was able to leave. Like once like the anesthesia like wore off, I was able to leave. I was walking fine and everything. It's just like my stomach was in pain. My family was great and people around me that loved me were great and amazing. Everybody was very caring, very loving. That first week after having this done, my stomach was very sensitive, very sensitive. Like even when I would go in the shower, like the water hitting my stomach would hurt. Like it felt like my stomach was bruised. That's what it felt like for about a week, or like, yeah, for like 5 days to a week. I still was crying all the time, like I said. I was very depressed. Actually, like going through that whole thing was one of the worst times of my life. And I had to get myself out of that. And I purposely made myself get out of it because if I didn't see things going well for me. I ended up reapplying to this program, this fashion program. I ended up getting accepted and I was devoting my time and attention to that program to be able to escape what I had went through. Because I just wanted to get myself out of that funk and out of that, like, I would just felt so down. So it was very difficult. And the reason why like I'm able to talk about it now is because I was able to process all of that and like this was in 2014. And don't get me wrong, I think about this all the time. And whenever I look at my son, I think about this stuff. And like it's hard on me. It doesn't get easier. You just have to accept what happened. It made me feel like less of a woman because I wasn't able to create life. And it's very hard to go through. After this whole situation, after losing my baby who was a girl, so I did have a daughter, Harmony, and like once I saw the results came back and they told me what actually was going on with my child. It was a chromosomal issue. It said on the paperwork like it was a girl. And, you know, my thoughts and my feelings were confirmed with that. And I was sure that those were signs. After having this miscarriage, and I wanted to put this in here, the reason why you have to be very careful when you're pregnant you have to be very careful about the people that are around you. Because like I said, I was in a very stressful like environment while I was pregnant due to certain people in my life that just didn't really care to make my life stress-free. I was trying to just kind of block those things out. And once the bad news hit and I felt very down and I felt very alone and I felt very sad, and then I didn't want to push people away, even if they were people that I should have definitely pushed away, you know? And the funny thing is that the people that negatively impact your life, the funny thing with them is when you are in a negative place yourself, they will be there for you for the majority of the time because they like seeing you in a negative position, like in a negative mood, in a negative mind frame, in like a depressed state. They enjoy seeing that. So you might think like, oh, this person was being so terrible to me, but now that I'm like going through something so horrible, they're there for me. And it's not because they're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. They're doing it because they enjoy seeing you in pain and seeing you down, that they want to be there to witness that. I just wanted to say that because I really think like when we're pregnant, we need to examine who's around us and who is making our life stressful. We don't need that stress. And honestly, it's better for you to leave stressful situations or people that bring stress to you if you need to, for the sake of your health and your child's health, for that alone, you know, and like share whatever you're going through, share it with people around you that you know for a fact love you and want what's best for you, and share with them the experiences that you're going through with the person that's bringing you stress, so that they can tell you like, hey, a person that cares about you shouldn't be doing that. A person that loves you wouldn't do that. You know, sometimes you need other people to kind of like just tell you these things so that you start waking up and seeing what's really going on. So I just wanted to put that out there because as pregnant women, we really need to take care of ourselves and the people that are around us to make the best environment and situation for when we're pregnant and after pregnancy. But anyways, I just wanted to put that out there because when you're in a vulnerable state like that, you might confuse people doing nice things for you as them doing it because they actually care about you. It doesn't always come from that. Doesn't always come from that. Especially if the person was extremely negatively impacting your life beforehand. After I had my surgery and all of that, I ended up going back to work a week later. And it was very awkward because people in my office knew that I was pregnant, but I didn't tell everybody that I had a miscarriage because I'm not just going to go around telling people that. It was a bad experience for me. Was after the fact of having a miscarriage, having the surgery, going back to work, even months after I had my miscarriage, I had people literally come up to me in the office and ask me, oh, hey, like, how's the baby? And I would literally have to be like, oh, I lost my baby. And just seeing the expression on their faces, because they would be super happy and excited when they would ask me. And then I had to tell them what happened and just say, like, oh, I lost my baby. And their face would just change, like, oh, I'm so sorry. And it just sucked so bad because I felt so bad making other people feel bad about even asking me. And then I also felt bad because it made me rethink about it, relive it. And it just like I was at work, and then after that I couldn't really focus on what I was doing because I was thinking about that. And it just sucked. It was just terrible. And I don't wish that on anybody because it happened with multiple people. It was horrible. And it was just bad to have to relive that at that time. And like I even had times after like months. I told you guys it took me months and months to kind of just be back to an okay state after having the surgery and going through that miscarriage at 20 weeks. I cut my hair. I bought a bunch of new clothes with the money I had been saving for my baby. I bought new paint. I bought a new bed. I bought a new, like new furniture. I bought all these things because I just wanted everything to be different. I couldn't be in the same surroundings. I had to change everything. Painting my room. Like I did so much stuff in that time frame because I just was in a very bad place and in a very dark place at the time in my life. That was like the way I could kind of like deal with it, was to just change anything I could change at the time. Then after doing all those things, I ended up feeling like, well, I don't really feel better. So then I really had to like look within and just like really be like, okay, you need to get yourself out of this because nobody else is gonna do it for you, and this is not healthy. And you can't be like you can't be in this dark place for a long extended amount of time because then you'll stay there. So that's why I forced myself to get out of that, and I forced myself to focus on something that is productive and something that I would think would help me in my goals. So that's why I ended up doing a collection in a matter of 8 weeks, designing cutting fabric, having a photo shoot, and submitting an application, writing a business plan, all this stuff within 8 weeks. I was extremely busy. I was working full time still. All of these things I was doing. I was going to the gym because I just wanted to change. I wanted to be better. And I was really trying. I got accepted to the program. Even when I was in the program, I had to push myself because when I was in the program, I was still doing all these things, even though they're really good, productive things to do, weren't just going to automatically make me feel like okay again. So it was a big, thing I had to deal with. It was a long process. And I had to push myself. I had to push myself to get through the program. I had to push myself to design, to just do something good for myself and just to get myself out of that rut and out of that bad place. I got accepted into the program the end of February or March 1st, one of those. And in April, mid-April, my aunt passed away from cancer, colon cancer. And she passed away within 10 days. We didn't know she had cancer. She didn't know. She was feeling very bad. She was having just weird things going on. She ended up going to the doctors. They ended up finding out she had cancer. She had to get surgery. They found out it was stage 4. My aunt lived 10 days and she passed away. My grandfather had just passed away 8 months prior to my aunt passing away. I had experience having a miscarriage and surgery and all of that stuff literally 3 weeks after my grandfather passed away. And then basically 7 months after that, when I'm trying to, do better and get myself out of the state, my aunt passes away in 10 days. Shockingly, nobody was expecting it. I was very close to my aunt. Ever since I was little, she would always be she was such a great person and I loved her so much. And she was always just her and my mom were best friends, they're sisters and they were together all the time. They worked together. And literally my aunt I would see my aunt often. She lived a few blocks away from me. And it was just really hard. And it was again, I put myself, I made some progress and then I went down again, It was a hard time for me. And I had to push myself through that. And it's so many things. And it's just I feel different trials keep happening to me. But I get through them and I learn from them and I get better from them. And yeah, life is not easy. If you would have told me this would be my life when I was 16 years old, I would never believe it. I would never believe that I would have experienced the things I've experienced so far. But it's this is real life and this is what happens. And just accepting that and just accepting a lot of things that can't do nothing about because you don't have control over them. But yeah, guys, that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please thumbs it up if you guys think that you learned something new or you can relate to any parts of this video. Again, make sure you guys share with anyone that you think could relate as well. Make sure you guys follow me on my Instagram at IB88. And if you guys have any situations, any questions, anything like that, if you want any advice, make sure you go ahead and email me at missib88@gmail.com and I'll be able to make a video responding to any questions that you might have. I think I might do a motherhood thing, I don't know, or parenting thing. Maybe I'll do that. Let me know if you're interested below in the comments. Anyone out there that has experienced miscarriage, I love you and stay strong and you're not alone. And just keep positive people around you. Take care of yourself and get some rest and, just pray. I think that's all. Thank you so much again Really appreciate you. Sorry again for being late on this video, but I really just had to redo it. Alright, bye. Fast forward to 2015, mid-October 2015. I remember I was feeling like super tired, and I felt like nauseous. I was feeling